What? Oh, we have the video. Oh no. Well, better late than never. All right, let's talk about my culture. So, first, we're going to talk about my American culture. The American culture is a lot of what I share with my peers and people that I know. This American culture has more than two political parties. I am a part of both parties as I like ideals from both of them. I swing right economically, but more left when it comes to social matters. I feel like let's just have somebody that makes the right choice for our country. I always want something for the greater good of America. But the American culture is not the only culture that I have in my cultural identity. So let's go check out some others. Come on. Oh. So like the American culture, I've been in America for my entire life. But during this 3-year span, I've been at Lewis and Clark State College in Lewiston, Idaho. And I, moving over here from Western Washington, which is a very city area, came to a more rural and urban area. This was a bit of a culture shock at first, to see people walking around in cowboy boots and jeans, but I became accustomed to it. I actually have a pair of cowboy boots that I own, but I look great in them. But the reason that I'm here at Lewis and Clark State and how it has shaped the reason that I'm here at Lewis and Clark State is because of baseball. So being a student athlete, playing baseball has really influenced the way I have gone about my cultural identity. As a baseball player and as a student athlete in general, it's led me in a lot of the ways I communicate with people, teammates, and the way I go about my business. Being a student athlete, I sometimes work a little too hard. Sometimes I go a little too far, and I don't take note of my self-care. However, we're getting better. And as a matter of fact, there are things that I do for my self-care, such as the Bible. Christianity has been a huge influence in my life, and Christianity has been something that has shaped my cultural identity a huge amount. I've been going to church since I was about 6 or 7 years old, and I live by the Word of God. The Word of God has had such a big influence on me, and has helped propel different areas of my life, and it's a big part of my cultural identity. But let's talk a little bit more about the student athlete thing. Come on. So being a student athlete, I like to, ow. Oh, it's a dumbbell. Right, so being a student athlete, I like to do things like lift weights I like to go hit, I like to go throw, and I like to live an active lifestyle. But along with this active lifestyle, sometimes you gotta get a little creative. Otherwise, you become a little boring. So let's go see one of the ways I am creative in staying fit. Come on. One of the ways I like to stay fit is by coming out here and hitting the punching bag. Now, I picked this up because a lot of the friends I had in high school would always think, dude, it'd be so cool if you were to go box. So I learned how to box because of the cultural identity I had with my friends, or built by my friends, and the sports I was a part of. But enough talk about my friends. Let's go hear more about my family. So I think family has a great deal on what your cultural identity is. Right here, my family has greatly helped. That's my mom right there, and that's my dad. Both grew up in the Pacific Northwest and have had a great influence on my cultural identity. They taught me to be patient, and they taught me to be a more well-rounded individual that just grinds and loves to work hard. And then I have a little sister that has taught me to be a more caring person and has taught me the virtues of caring and patience and things that really help me out. I miss her, by the way. And then another thing that has a huge impact on your cultural identity is your friends. These are pictures of some of my long friends ever since elementary school. And these friends have introduced me to new music, new ideas, new activities. And all of them have built my cultural identity. They introduced me to things like country music. They introduced me to things like boxing. They introduced me to things like baseball. They introduced me to all these things that have continued to shape my cultural identity. Another thing that's a part of your cultural identity is books. I am an English major, so I naturally love to read. But all of these books right here, all of them, have continued to shape my cultural identity. John Grisham. A lot of books about law. I love reading these books, these crime thrillers. They're super fascinating. I love self-help books. Self-help books help me become a more well-rounded individual. Lee Child, sometimes whenever I want a little escape from the world and a little bit of thrill. And then some books on philosophy, and then the Seattle Mariners. America's heartbreak. Let's move on. So, going back to the family idea, right? This is a picture of me with my two grandpas, right? Both of these grandpas grew up in Western Washington, and I did a lot of activities with them, but there's one in particular that I still do to this day. It's Legos. I try to keep a creative mindset whenever I'm doing these. This is my most prized possession, the Millennium Falcon. Ain't she a beauty? Yeah, she is. All right. So, I think that's all. I think that's all there is to my cultural identity. Am I missing something? I am? What's this? Western Vikings. Western Washington. That's right. I am a proud native of the Pacific Northwest, and I love things like grunge music, IPAs, the Seattle Mariners, the Seahawks, and I love to be outside, right? Let's go hear more about my culture. Where's the music? I thought there was supposed to be... You hear that? That's the sound of Soundgarden. Soundgarden was based in Seattle, Washington. Bands like Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam, and Nirvana all were super influential in the early 90s in creating a new era of rock and roll called the grunge era. Being from the Pacific Northwest and having so many people from my family be from the Pacific Northwest, along with my friends, we all listen to this kind of music. I mean, come on. How do you not? It's great music. Great music. But ultimately, this guides my choice in music. And music has a great deal of influence on your cultural identity. So, with that being said, I hope that you know more about my cultural identity and you got to look into who I really am as a student.